An elite eating contest, a sinister host, and a menu designed to kill. As the meals get deadlier, the contestants realize this is no ordinary competition. Will they escape or be eaten alive?
Beer Me That Movie, where the weirdest ideas get served hot. This episode contains descriptions of people eating people. Viewer discretion advised. All right, folks, we need to talk. We had a plan, a rock-solid, steroid-fueled plan for a movie about suplexing terrorists in the sky. But you had other ideas.
That's right. For the first time in Beer Me That Movie history, we had a last-minute voting upset. You maniacs flipped the script, and now, instead of Juice Above the Clouds, we're making
Stuffed Cheeks from Myers Creek Brewing, a movie about competitive eaters being held hostage in a Saw-like buffet of doom.
We're both disturbed and impressed. So congratulations, democracy. You played yourself.
But hey, this is what we signed up for. You pick them, we make them. And next week, you're going to be able to vote on another potential cinematic disaster for us to tackle.
But first, let's talk about a cursed buffet, an unhinged villain, and the competitive eaters who are about to regret every hot dog they've ever swallowed whole.
Harrison, are you ready to beer me that movie?
Yes! But before we do, 2 quick updates. So first, a big thank you to Myers Creek Brewing. You guys reached out. You're supporting the show. Thank you for sharing our post and our photo and the poll that, of course, featured Stuffed Cheeks and explaining the history and the origin of Stuffed Cheeks. It was actually inspired by your taproom manager's hamster. So any brewery that names a beer after their taproom manager's hamster is worth visiting. It sounds like an amazing place, and kind of hilarious that my original throwaway idea for Stuffed Cheeks was a Weekend at Bernie's type movie, but with squirrels, I think I said.
I wanted it to be hamsters, but I think it was squirrels.
So I got weirdly close.
Huge thanks to Myers Creek for sharing the photo of what I assume is the hamster.
Yes.
We always want to hear the story behind your beers. And
oh, yeah.
Myers Creek, you really came through. For more hamster-related tips, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with new episodes, which are basically like a quick little vacation. And who doesn't need a 1-hour break from reality every week or every Wednesday, more specifically?
Exactly.
Now,
it's time
to make
this movie.
And so it begins.
Perfect unison.
Act 1.
Welcome to Act 1, the invitation to a feast of death, which probably wasn't written on the invitation. It might have just said feast.
Right, I'm sure. Something elegant, I imagine.
So before we get into this movie, Harrison, I want to ask, we're going to talk about a buffet of death at some point in the plot. Have you had any buffet experiences, and would you be willing to share either your best or worst? I have one that I've shared with most of my close friends that I'm going to share on this podcast.
Oh, boy.
I want to hear yours.
Also, wasn't Buffet of Death or Buffet of Doom almost what Golden Corral called itself, John? And they were like, maybe we shouldn't.
They got a marketing agency last
That's
minute.
right. Come on down to the bod.
Buffet of
It almost
Doom.
works. What's the bod stand for? Don't ask questions. Get in the back.
It's
Put him in
Doom
the
for mashed potatoes.
Put him in the steak making machine. The what? Quiet. It's a mistake. So best buffet experience. Buffets are amazing when you're a child, and I guess as an adult too. Although now I know that food poisoning exists, so some buffets alarm me. But as a kid, we did have. There's actually this really nice steakhouse near us called Chuck's Steakhouse. We'd go to, and like it was some grandparent's birthday or when you graduated high school or whatever. Not maybe once a year we went. Great, amazing buffet. And the best part about it was there wasn't some gatekeeper telling me I couldn't put 12 dinner rolls on my plate, because that's what I was doing. Maybe some ranch, dip them in, just filling up on dinner rolls before the steaks came out. That was that I remember very well. And looking back, man, I loved bread. I still do. But That's really the only buffet that jumps out to me, John. I'm really curious to hear. I mean, Ruby Tuesday had one, but it wasn't great. Chuck's was a great buffet, and they had, sure, like all the bacon bits and a bunch of different lettuces and so many deviled eggs. You could stuff them inside your dinner rolls.
Man,
and have
buffets are great.
A different kind of egg roll, an American egg roll. Shoot some mayonnaise in there. Yeah, it was a glutton's dream, of course. That's the essence of every buffet, is let your dreams run wild and your cholesterol even wilder. But you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about, for me, just rolls. I think in the buffet, the end, there were also like cookies and brownies. So it was like, why you enjoy put the steak in a bag. I'll have that later. I'm just going to eat carbs until I feel sick and then go throw up in their fish tank. That was very cool. Unless it was full of my vomit. But anyway, we'll be talking a lot about that maybe tonight as I remember about what this movie's about. So throwing up in buffet is a long history. What's yours, John?
So I have a lot of buffet stories, but the buffet
great
story
Tinder
that
profile
me,
heading.
Swipe right if you like buffets.
A lot of buffet stories.
We get our money's worth. So when I was younger, I learned about a buffet that was about an hour away called the Golden Corral.
Yes.
And I was of driving age. My family had kept this from me my whole life. I didn't know such a beautiful buffet existed.
Yeah.
And then, so once in a while, my high school buddies, we would drive down there on the weekend, hit the Golden Corral, make a day of it, go to the mall. Yeah. So then we found out they do breakfast, but I mean, I'm in high school. I'm still not getting up for your breakfast buffet, but we thought the way to do this was we planned it for a Saturday. We drove down, we hit the breakfast buffet. We got all our it was a dream, like anything you could imagine for breakfast, mostly breads.
Right. Sure.
And a big bowl of scrambled eggs and stuff. So we did the breakfast thing, ate pretty irresponsibly.
Yes.
And this is a time when you could still smoke inside restaurants.
Amen.
So we were in the smoking section. We'd finished breakfast. We're drinking coffee. And they started breaking down for lunch. And I was like, guys, we could really score and really get our money's worth if we weren't so full. So we all kind of took turns going to the bathroom and making ourselves throw up. I don't think everybody could do it. You could tell when the lunch buffet rolled out. We did get some eye rolls, and the waitress stopped coming by to collect our plates frequently, but they let us stay for lunch. And I had a second breakfast in lunch. One of the guys that came with us, you could tell he said he threw up, but he didn't eat much for lunch. I knew what was going on there. Total loser.
Not committed.
I consumed like 4,800 calories that morning and lunch it was a great experience. Haven't topped that since.
It's good to throw caution to the wind and just eat until it hurts, and then
throw up,
and then do it
then
again.
It doesn't even count.
The Romans did, right?
Yeah, I'm not encouraging anorexia. I'm actually encouraging overeating, and using your powers of self throw up to eat more.
That's right. But yeah, it's good. Everyone should have I throw up at a buffet story, I guess.
Hopefully self-inflicted.
Right, hopefully in the bathroom or a fish tank.
So for this buffet. They might have I feel like every buffet had to have an aquarium, at least in the 90s. Yeah, that was part of the decor kit.
Because they didn't have 90 TVs around anywhere. They had one TV.
Were huge.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. It took the size of a table. Size of a booth. My gosh. All right, cool.
So for this buffet here at Stuffed Cheeks, we're going to have a couple of people that get invited.
Yes.
We'll talk about the invitation and how this buffet gets set up, but first let's cover the characters, Harrison. How many people you think are going to be in this feast of death?
Feast of death, feast of doom, buffet of doom. We're going to have a lot of fun. A lot of t-shirts I can see are going to come out of this episode that we'll someday maybe make. I think 4 or 5 is good if we're kind of designing this as an eating competition with many dark twists. Right. It's intimate. Right. This is not Nathan's hot dog, Coney Island Boardwalk, a million people watching Joey Chestnut defy physics. This is intimate, secretive. It's kind of like the movie Clue.
Nice.
Which, it's right with the invitations and the where are we going, what's happening type thing. But so you can't have many people because it would get out. Got to select a few of 4 or 5 people. I think that's good. And as is tradition, we should go through them right now. And
Yeah.
once again, so this was the one and only Brian Davis's recommendation. This beer,
He sent
Stuffed
this
Cheeks.
one in.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna get to be our protagonist again tonight. He was the Chicken Man, wasn't Brian's been a lot of great.
We got to build an IMDb page, a BMTM IMDb.
BMTMIMDB.net. Patent pending. All right, so we'll get there someday. But Brian is going to be at least one of these characters, probably the protagonist. And let's talk about that for a minute. So again, they're all competitive eaters. I think though, to make Brian's, they're all going to be interesting. But Brian's quick backstory is something like, sure, maybe he's like we do this a lot, but I think it's fun. We just did the former NASCAR driver fights a bunch of velociraptors in the city. Now we're going to do like an ex competitive eating like champion. Like he used to do it.
Did he retire, or like what forced him out of the sport?
Similar to Gas Gallows. I think an incident, something a little embarrassing, controversy around it. Maybe he was doing, and I think to make him again a little unique, a lot of his events are like for nonprofits or helping the needy or whatever. He's not out there on ESPN eating like bowls of wings.
He's a competitive eater for good.
Right. He's using his power to maybe try to benefit.
He's stealing food from people that need it. He's got a fund where he kicks in 5% of his winnings.
He's at the local soup kitchen drinking vats of soup for money.
Don't worry, I'm going to give you a little bit of my winnings.
So Brian's heart's in the right place, even maybe if his head is too full of sodium to have a conscious thought worth a damn. But I think the way he becomes retired from his kind of do-gooder competitive eating ways is some incident. Maybe it's like, something like he's trying to eat a bunch of shrimp. The shrimp cocktail is the thing of choice. And is he allergic? Is he just hate them? There's a history with shrimp here that, or maybe this is the history. This failure to take down all these cocktail shrimp that really sticks with him, and he kind of disappears from the limelight. And I'm kind of imagining a bit of a world like the movie Dodgeball, where people care about dodgeball.
Yeah,
now,
fair.
in this world, people really maybe care a little bit more than they do in the actual world we all live in about competitive eating. And so he's on ESPN. They're paparazzi trying to follow Brian around.
So they might be like as famous as a hockey player.
There
not
we go.
quite NBA, but
yes, exactly. It's about as famous as a hockey player. That's good. And so some people care about this, and when Brian tries to disappear. And I think another kind of fun nugget we can throw Brian's way. Gonna be a lot of food talk tonight. Although we've done a lot with nuggets already this year, so maybe not a lot about nuggets. But I think let's add this wrinkle in here, because I think this will give us a bunch of laughs later. Maybe there's a rumor going around that like Brian was trying to make a comeback, and he was studying the ancient art of the noble stomach. And John,
Okay.
if you don't know at home, John, if you don't know,
yeah, I didn't take that elective.
that's right, just woodworking for John again and again. So the noble stomach is a practice supposedly created, discovered, whatever, by Buddha himself, as a way to kind of store food in a metaphysical stomach, not attached to any space, just kind of in the void. And the legend goes of the noble stomach that the Buddha heard of a town on the other side of the mountains that was starving. There was a drought, hadn't rained in a year, and they needed food, but there was no horses in the Buddha's village. He needed at least get 50 bags of rice over this mountain, and if he could do that, he had a chance of saving them. So he summoned the noble stomach, ate all the rice himself, stored it in this, again, metaphysical stomach, traveled across the mountains, went there, found the town, and released all the rice to the people in this town, and they were saved. And so this is a myth that's been passed around.
Yes. Yeah, the noble.
Maybe you remember now.
Yeah, it's starting to come to.
I think there's writing about it on the back of the Golden Corral menus.
So
a quick blurb.
To use the noble stomach, you consume the food, but it's not like you chew it and nod and nothing.
No,
you're just
it's kind of unknown. Maybe how you get it in you.
It was Buddha.
It was right. He didn't write everything down. But so the details are lacking, but the larger strokes are there of this ability to carry kind of food with you. Once you consume it somehow, you can then deliver it to people. In the Buddha's case, at least in the legend, people in need.
Jesus, great fisherman, water into wine.
Exactly.
But Buddha, he was like the early Door Dasher.
Exactly right. He was in on the gig economy. And was ready to hike a mountain and save a village, as he probably did in many of his stories. This time, just with a bunch of food from this magical, mystical, noble stomach that floats in the ether somewhere. And again, I think competitive eaters maybe have chased this thing for years. Most of them now they'll laugh it off, but Brian maybe saw something here. Maybe a way back into the limelight. Maybe he just was curious about it, but he hasn't been heard from for years. Maybe there's a quick blurb, a quick spike on the radar of, is Brian coming back?
Nice.
Rumors of him visiting monks in a temple in Tibet.
Brian was that NHL star that had a great season on the Buffalo Sabres, and you all but forgot he existed. There's 3 guys drinking in a bar in Buffalo. They're like, man, if we could get Willie Chums back, we could win a Stanley Cup, but he disappeared. Like,
that's right. Where'd he go? Exactly.
Rookie sensation, had a little career, but and I like the noble stomach story that you definitely didn't make up.
No.
But it also ties a little bit into Brian, like he wants to feed the hungry by taking their food and giving them a small portion of his winnings. But
heart in the right place.
Okay. So
that's
Brian. With Brian.
Oh God.
Let's put some. Let's put some other names. I don't know how relevant they'll be, but there will be other people.
They're gonna be great. And John's the name master. So he gave us gas gallows and kerosene.
His dad.
What I still laugh about.
Carrie Gal. No one calls me Carrie.
No one calls me Carrie. Bam.
Okay, so I'm going to give the names of the other competitors.
All right.
Harrison's going to tell us a little bit about it. This will be a fun.
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
Okay, so we got. I'm going to do some alliteration because that's how it helps me.
It's the best. It'll help us all until we start messing it up, but it's okay.
And now I got gas gallows in my head. So we're gonna start with the second guest, Gunnar Grayson, who goes by the nickname the Gullet.
The Gullet.
Gunnar the Gullet Grayson.
The Gullet mullet.
Definitely mulleted. Always eats in aviators.
Right. Okay, I see this, and he could be like, I'm seeing just a giant hulking dude. And let's give them each almost like a superpower, like a food they're known for, which is kind of what happens in this wild world of competitive eating. So
Brian's known for not being able to handle the shrimp cocktails.
Exactly right. His whatever famous food association isn't a great one, but for Gunnar the Gullet, huge dude, deep throating bratwurst on whatever stage will have him. And maybe he's like, how about this too? He's a bit of an up and comer. Nice. He's newer on the stage. He's won a couple regionals, gotten on the ESPN The Ocho and done his thing there as well.
Exciting rookie potential.
Right, but yeah, he's maybe, and many people are maybe even saying, oh, the next Brian D. Is Gunnar the mullet?
They called him
Brian never
Bottomless
could.
Brian, just to give Brian. We got to give him all a nickname.
Yes.
Is he another? He reminds me a lot of Bottomless Brian.
It's brilliant, Bottomless Brian, the Gullet Mullet Grayson.
Okay, so we got Gunnar Grayson, and then we're gonna introduce a little bit of culture.
Mullets aren't cultural, John?
Yes, I think
a culture.
They are a culture in an area of the world. I don't know if any other country has the mullet. I think that's uniquely American. Maybe a couple of Aussies, but
that's true. They do. I've seen some intense ones there. I wonder what they call it. Probably something Australian and cool.
That's true. What would they call it? Party rag.
That's it. The party rag.
So along with Gunnar Grayson, we've got Stephanie Gonzalez, but she goes by Speedy Gonzalez, which was one of the best Looney Tune characters ever.
Right.
Stephanie Gonzalez in her name,
Right.
you know, she's that secret. You didn't expect her to be a competitive
Yes.
eater. Speedy
Okay.
Gonzalez.
Okay. We can't have her eating jumping beans, but we can.
That's true.
Instead, let's keep it simple because we need to get this in here for someone. She could be like hot dogs, classic.
Okay.
She's maybe the one that took down Joey Chestnut at the Nathan's hot dog and forced him into retirement. Yeah, and she perhaps is a bit shrouded in mystery. She's like the famous person who doesn't want the spotlight. Maybe I don't know who I could compare it to. Not Lady Gaga-ish. Not that over the top, but she's there. She's doing her job. She's blowing people out of the water, but you're not hearing about her every day in the tabloids. She's
not a social media influencer.
Right, exactly.
And unlike the gullet who deep throats his bratwurst, Speedy Gonzalez chews incredibly fast.
Right.
It's like it's like watching those people cut the candies when you're scrolling on Instagram for too long. Like chop, 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 chop. Like just nailing them down.
Yes. All right, I like that.
Okay,
Razor
so
sharp teeth.
Then we're gonna go with Larry Kowalski.
Oh, from the Midwest.
Gotta have a Midwesterner in here. Larry Kowalski, they call him the hamster. Larry's a tie-in to the inspiration for the beer name Stuffed Cheeks. So this one, have fun with this, Harrison. Larry the hamster Kowalski.
I mean, come on. It's got to be, it's right, sitting right there. So maybe, gosh, could he be, let's have his food be meatballs, and but his legend is that he can stuff his cheeks like a chipmunk full of meatballs in this case, or most cases, before he just inhales them all, in mass. That's his technique. Instead of eating them quickly like Speedy would, he fills his whole face and then in one gulp just inhales it all down.
He almost dies every time he swallows.
He does. Guy could swallow a bag of sand. He's got a throat like a python.
But it's feast or famine. He's like kind of, if he's in, he's gonna win. But if he chokes,
that's right. Exactly.
That's why we always have the EMTs on scene.
High risk, high reward. Right, and they got a plunger for him. They can't use the usual.
It doesn't come out. It's got to go down with Larry. Push it down.
Jump on his chest, smash his cheeks. So yeah, Larry can prove it difficult to be resuscitated, but luckily so far that doesn't happen that often, and his interesting and unique technique is paying off for him. I love that. Larry the hamster. I can see him so clearly.
And
what else?
Let's add one more, but let's keep it vague just in case. I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Smart.
So we're gonna add our fifth guest is just a mystery guest. No one recognizes this eater. That I wish they could be like just a silhouette, but it's a movie, and eventually light will shine on their face. So they're an unknown, right? Like they're not known in the circuits. They don't have a social media following.
Oh yeah.
No one knows why they're here, but the assumption is this mystery guest can really pack it away.
Right. And maybe could it even be? How about this? Maybe there's a rumor that we got to find a fun name for this person, but it could be something like a Banksy type, but instead of being like a guerrilla artist, this mystery eater that exists in the competitive eating world, it just goes on TikTok and eats it shrouded in darkness, can't see their face, but inhales bowls of anchovies and
they're
whatever.
a TikTok mukbanger.
Okay.
Which is that's like, are you familiar with that?
No, it's like a cat fisherman, like noodling. What's a mukbang?
It's a fun word.
It is a fun word.
And I was nervous to put it into TikTok,
but it's here.
I'm pretty sure. I'm 90% sure I remember this right. Mukbang is like a Korean thing, and you just gorge yourself eating. It might have a tradition, but the only way I know it is you set up a camera and go on TikTok, and then you get like 7 bowls of ramen and you just destroy them all. So maybe I like that. This is where the mystery they might just be a TikTok mukbanger.
And let's have her name. Let's have her before everyone Googles that. Let's have his or her. I keep saying her. We don't know. The person's gender is hidden, all that stuff. It's just a shrouded
almost
in darkness.
In like a Green Man suit with a mouth cut out.
But let's call this person, or they call themselves, Garbage Plate.
Ooh, that's great. That definitely from Western New
Right,
York.
or so we think, but maybe it's
True.
to throw you off. But just knowing on the internet and through the competitive eating circles is garbage plate, and they've never a plate that they couldn't take down. So everyone's always curious about it, and maybe that gets the competitive eaters talking when this mystery person shows up. It's, you think that's garbage plate? Nah, it's too small.
No
too
one's
big.
ever seen garbage plate. They wouldn't be
Exactly.
out showing their face.
Garbage plate was on last night eating 100 hog heads in Texas. It can't be here. That was filmed weeks ago, you idiot. So this is the mystery guest.
TikTok isn't live all the time,
Right,
dumbass.
moron. Yeah, so I like that. All right, cool. So okay, I like all these people, I think, for now.
These are hopefully the people we remember as we continue writing this
You'll
movie.
never hear their names correctly again the rest of tonight, but you did it once.
Garbage plate. Yeah.
Garbage lady. Muck person.
So how did they show up here? I feel like the movie begins almost like Clue, where you get like
Yes,
the cameras panning
100%.
across this like beautiful sort of gilded Victorian
Yep,
mansion.
I love that.
It's
I can
almost
see it.
dready. Like
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
kind of it's not sharp. It doesn't start like really color saturated
No,
and upbeat with
agreed.
music. Like
I think it's raining, and I think it's
Yes.
the kind of haunted house vibe of the Clue house up on a hill, and it's right. 5 different kind of limos pull up, and these characters we just described kind of get out and quickly see what they look like, and maybe some of them are dressed like they play for the Cowboys in the 90s. I'm sure the mullet is with a boa or something and a chain.
Ric Flair with a mullet. Yeah.
Exactly right. So you get to meet them, see their character a little bit. They all know each other other than the mystery guest, and maybe interact, do some jabbing. Oh man, I can't believe that bowl of grapes took you down last week. It did it. I didn't choke. I had allergies. I was doing fine.
I know that he's talking to Larry the hamster immediately. Spherical shaped food
That's right.
is
slippery.
oh, spherical shapes. I can't do a Midwestern accent. Don't you know?
We'll get there. Perfect. Don't you know? Oh, so spherical. Yeah, I can't either. We'll figure it
You're
out.
not supposed to deep throat your bratwurst gallows. I called him. You damn it, Gary Grayson Gullet, Gunner Gullet. Anyways,
Yes.
Larry would pick on him because he is from the Midwest where bratwursts were created.
That's right. As far as you know.
So there's a big prize involved in this. That's how that we'd see at some point in the film. Like the reason these people are showing
Right.
up is because it's the largest
Yep.
cash prize available in any eating contest ever. It's
Exactly right.
$50. No, it's like,
Whole dollars.
I'm thinking it's a movie. Let's make it $1 million.
Yeah, that's easy. That still means something. And certainly would be enough to get these folks' attention. And I think, this is kind of all discovered by the audience as they're all getting out of their limos, walking up this long driveway to this mysterious house in the rain of, show me your invite. Oh my gosh, yeah, $1 million. Yeah, mine the same. What do you think this is all about? It's probably another gimmick set up by ESPN. They're having us travel all over the place. Wouldn't expect anything different. Let's just get in there and get it done. So different conspiracies floating around.
No camera crew. This
exactly.
is really cool.
Right. Well, yeah, it's all gorilla. Maybe it's hidden camera. Like one of those shows.
Yeah, because I forget competitive eating is like the NHL in this world.
right. So there, no paparazzi.
No local TV camera
Exactly
crew.
right. They're cluing in on some things that are unique, but the $1 million prize, and then it is distracting enough, and then also all of them kind of seeing each other right away enters that competitive mindset.
These are competitive eaters.
That's
not
right.
just like me, an eater.
Right, an eater for shame. They eat to win. I can't eat to win. Every time I eat, somebody loses.
Yeah, it's usually me. Yeah. That bag of Doritos was supposed to be for everyone. Well, look, I opened it. I finished it.
Exactly. And so this is exactly what's going on as they're walking up to this house. And I think as they kind of get to the front, they're all faced with this ominous door with a big old Marley knocker on it of maybe like a, gosh, what could it be? Grimace's face or something.
A drumstick.
Okay, chicken drumstick. You got to smack into it. Perfect. And they're hovering there. Who's going to do it? You do it. Oh, Glutton, you do it. You're Glutton. What's Gunner?
The gullet. Gunner Grayson with the mullet with the gullet.
Right, exactly.
He doesn't have time for any of this. He's like, get out of the way.
Yep.
I'm marching my way to the top, and just bangs on the door.
All right, perfect. And this is when we get to meet our host, I think, who needs a great kind of creepy, but also maybe just old money type name. So we don't quite know what to think of him yet. What do you got, John? I know you're gonna nail this.
So the host introduces himself at the door.
Right. Kind of creaks open before Gullet can get there and smack on it.
Yeah, exactly. The door just I love big old door.
Huge.
Big old door. Oh, thank you. My guests have arrived. It is me, Victor Lancaster. That's not Victor's breathing noises. That's just lightning.
Maybe it's both.
Victor Lancaster.
Victor Lancaster, of course. Right. And who should they recognize him? Who's Victor? Let's talk about this. Let's figure out a little bit of a backstory. We can dive into it later if we need to. But what do we know?
I think Victor's well known across the world in circles.
Oh, okay.
He was what he's known for most commonly is that he was a starvation fighting philanthropist. He was like what Bill Gates does for mosquitoes. This guy did for hunger.
Perfect.
And maybe there's a backstory. Maybe he used to be grossly overweight and then won that show where you have to lose weight to start.
The Biggest Loser, right?
I don't know exactly. Not many people know how he got his fortune. They just know he's the St. Jude of hunger.
Got it. Okay, and maybe that gives everyone pause a little bit, or some of them. Gullet is just barging in, going, "All right, cool. Where's the bathroom? I want something to drink.
Take me my trophy.
You got my rider. You know what I need?
Yeah.
I need a masseuse. I need perfect quiet. I need a bunch of crystals." Okay, so but maybe some of the others, certainly Brian D, Bottomless Brian, is like, my gosh, Victor Lancaster. It can't be. Like, what's the angle here? So maybe some people are apprehensive, some embrace it right away, but they're led into this grand dining hall regardless. They came this far, $1 million. $1 million on the line makes you kind of forget and be a little less cautious than maybe would be if you just
amazing what
showed up at a
$1 million
haunted
can
house.
do, right? Like
right.
Indecent proposal.
Right, exactly. Logic starts to slip out the window, and that kind of money.
Everybody says like, no, you can't sleep with my wife, and then immediately they're like, well, okay, hold on.
How much money?
$1 million isn't a whole lot, but you at least think about it, you cheap bastard. You at least think about it.
That's right. You're just human.
And this is just an eating contest.
Right,
so
exactly.
We're not even asking for a night with your wife. We're just
Right.
asking you to come win a contest.
The stakes are high. And maybe even somebody offers up a logical explanation of like, well, yeah, but doesn't he own that new streaming service, Boob Tube?
Just streams Hungry Kids, and you can donate anytime. Sally
Right.
Struthers is the lead host.
Perfect. Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, maybe, okay, right. Maybe he's trying to get in on the action and launch his new competitor, Hulu. Boob Tube, which should do well based on the name.
True.
Oh, my gosh.
Fastest downloaded streaming app and most deleted.
Right. This isn't what I wanted.
There's no boobs on here at all. It's just Hungry Kids. They have like a handful of former clergymen and some lonely 40-year-old former baseball coaches that are still on there.
What's your demographic? Well, it's changing all the time based on downloads and deletes. Okay, so they're in the door and they're pulled in or led in by Victor or maybe one of his kind of faceless butler-like assistants into the grand dining hall of this huge house, and in front of them a giant table and plates and silverware, and it looks like you're gonna have a big fancy dinner party basically. And so they're like, all right, I get this. I've seen a table before. I know what we do. I know what we're here. But they are led into this room. And what happens next, John? Like, I think this movie's gonna like kick into gear probably pretty quickly. The facade of, is this just a normal event, a normal eating competition?
If you've seen the trailer, you know what you're getting into.
Right.
So walk through the house, get sat in the dining hall. Grayson, damn it, Gunner
Grayson, yep,
Gunner Grayson is chomping at the bit. And there's a big old dining table full of everything from confections to sandwiches to steaks and roasts and soups. And this is where Victor kind of introduces himself and his goal, where he begins telling them, a ridiculous amount of food, but no one suspects danger yet. While you celebrate gluttony, the world starves. Tonight, you shall atone. Eat or be eaten.
Wow.
Which probably everybody kind of stops eyeing which chicken wing they're going to grab.
Right.
Like eyes up, sits upright in the chair. And then he explains the rules. Every round, they will have to consume a certain weight of food. The table is like the scale.
Right.
It probably just so happens that they have to eat everything on the table. But,
Okay, I like that.
if once the scale says that it's clear, then the round is over. But failure will result in consequence.
Ooh.
And I think right away, after that, Victor leaves the room.
Okay.
And the doors shut behind Victor, so they're just in this room. There might be now we see one or two guards by the doors.
Okay.
Beautiful room, chandelier. Looks like you're eating at the king's house.
Yes.
But the food is there and the scale is there, and then a timer starts ticking.
Ooh, I like that. And there's probably also, this is crazy, and I'm sure there's denial sits in right away. Maybe two people tried for the door and the guards push them back and pull a gun out or whatever, enough to be like, oh, that's not going to work. Maybe Speedy Gonzalez is like, what, are you serious? Like, what get me out of here. Like, you can't hold me here. So people are having that panicky kind of denial-y thing. And maybe the guard just clears his throat and points at the timer as it's clicking and points at the table, grunts.
Victor comes through on a little plastic transmitter box.
Okay,
right?
perfect.
You just hear the radio static, right? It's
I have told you must eat all the food that remains on the table or consequence.
Exactly.
You're wasting time. Tick, tick, tick. Eat, eat, eat.
He doesn't have great catchphrases.
Eat, my little piggies. You love to do it. And there's one TV and it's just playing boob tube with hungry kids on the TV as they're being forced to eat.
Right. He's testing new show ideas.
Victor's he's definitely painted as the villain, but I mean he's also sometimes you got to do some bad to do some good.
That's right.
And if you're bleeding heart, you're probably you know what? Go for it, Victor.
These guys.
Make these dudes eat, and maybe even you start feeling a draw towards Victor's altruistic goals of why are we celebrating these people that overeat when they're starving people, and I hope that we can do this in the movie where you as the audience start to maybe think Victor's onto something, and as you do, the timer hits tick tick down to 0, and you hear the I have been monitoring, and one of you has fallen deeply behind. And so the guards come up and they grab Speedy Gonzalez.
Okay.
So they grab Speedy Gonzalez and they strap her to the chair and they force all the remaining food. And now is where we turn into Saw. And they're one of the guards is holding her mouth open. The other's packing the food in there, bones in, chicken wings.
Oh, God.
They're mashing her jaw up and down, and they just keep going until eventually her stomach explodes. This is no I guess she died. No, we're going over the top with this one.
That's where the budget to this movie's going, into lots of squids and explosives and blood and guts. So this will be something to watch. And just like Saw, but more exploding meals. So okay, wow, and then everyone screams. Who isn't Speedy? She's dead, or I'm assuming with her stomach exploding, and just kind of slumps in her chair, but dead, exploded. And people are screaming. Brian's screaming. The mullet's like, what the hell? Maybe tries for the door again, gets thrown back. And Victor couldn't even click on and be like, you're wasting your energy. I know you need to work up an appetite, but this is not the way to do it. Ha ha ha, or whatever. Does some creepy Victor thing.
Yes.
And people are panicking again, sweating, freaking out. Maybe someone barfs. Not so fast.
This will all be eaten in the next round. I have noticed some of Speedy Gonzalez's innards are now on the table, and they will be part of your next course.
Oh my God. Amazing.
I'm making him German, but
That's fine. Everyone comes from every evil person comes from Lagerstadt eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is good.
So that consequence, we've seen now what happens if you fail the round. And since they didn't clear the table and Stephanie ate the least, Stephanie had to eat the most. And that's going to close up Act 1 as we get into the heat of this movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think now we're getting into the Hunger Games, if you will.
Yeah, but way grosser.
All right, let's keep going. We can't stop now.
And now we begin Act 2.
When we come into Act 2, we've learned a lot about the premise of this film. Some of you have walked out of the theater.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely sounds like it's gonna be one of those.
Yeah, it's not.
I would have a
it's
rough
not a
time.
date movie. It's not a bring your grandma movie.
You can't eat after you eat. You can't watch it after you eat something. Can't watch it really before you eat something. It's one of those tough movies where you're like, when am I gonna eat?
But there's definitely two people in the theater housing popcorn while this is happening.
Exactly right. My wife would be
Perfect
one of them.
moviegoers.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. All
So,
right.
Act 2, I think, in this film is really just, playing out these Hunger Games, as Harrison alluded to. We get a couple of rounds of eating. They start to realize now that it's maybe a little less of a competition and more about who can be the last one standing.
It's survival. And does he explain that? Like, to come through the loudspeaker and kind of, you may have figured now that only one of you will be walking out of here alive today. If you're lucky, maybe none at all.
Yes.
Like, that's probably enough for them to be like, holy crap.
I mean, they saw what happened to Speedy Gonzalez.
Right. And I think so now they've kind of moved past denial into like acceptance, and it's like survival mode. But they don't maybe even have time to process, because we're just gonna hammer through some rounds right now of super gross eating.
Yes. No one, unlike the Golden Corral, no one comes by to clean this table off.
Yes.
After Speedy Gonzalez exploded onto it.
Oh man.
You just see one of the doors open, surrounded by guards, and in comes the kitchen crew. They're like carrying like gurney-sized serving boards.
Yes.
And it's chicken wings.
Oh yeah, buffalo wings. We're going classic to start the
Perfect
second round.
Perfect food.
Oh, the perfect food. Agreed.
So they take these giant serving plates. I'm thinking like
right,
3 feet by 6 feet. Takes 3 people to carry them. They carry them in like a coffin.
Yes.
And they just take them, and they, instead of putting the plate down, now they just dump the chicken wings into what's left of Stephanie or Speedy Gonzalez.
Right.
And the throw up from earlier.
Right.
And
is the gullet like, awesome? And Brian's like, what are you doing? You're excited to eat, you idiots? Like, I love chicken. We all love chicken wings. Don't look at me like I'm weird.
I don't even need to take the bone out. And maybe even they start like strategy, because as soon as the plate's dumped, the timer starts. You see the scale weight. It's like, let's say it's 50 pounds. That seems hard.
Good.
And then we noticed that some of them look like regular buffalo wings, but there's also some of them look like they forgot to be cooked.
Oh.
So we start strategizing, right? I assume. Like,
you have
Harrison,
to.
you eat the 50 raw chicken wings, and I'll eat all the rest of them.
I'll get you next round. You've got an iron stomach, don't you? Nah, I'm not worried about anything. Yeah, I think this may be where Gullet, the mullet, comes in and can eat the undercooked wings, because he, got his start eating 19-year-old Twinkies on YouTube in a trailer park somewhere, and it didn't kill him.
He was the old food eater on YouTube.
So he can handle it. He's got some weird...
I built up my immune system to eat anything.
Right. He just has no stomach. Just a straight line from his mouth to his butt. No time to digest.
I'm going to need to change chairs after this one.
And maybe rooms. Joke's on you.
Is Stephanie still in there?
Good. Gonzalez?
Yeah, is her body still in there?
Yeah.
I'm just looking to establish a little atmosphere, not be gross.
Yeah,
this is art film.
Yep, she's in there, and they're trying to make sure the wings don't bounce close to her, and she's still slumped there, mostly exploded. And so they get to work. They start eating. Everyone's eating wings, looking at the timer. All right, we could do 50 pounds. What are you taking us easy on us? Like maybe Brian starts rallying people a little bit.
Nice, yeah.
And
he's the old hat in the room.
Yeah,
he's the
definitely.
veteran in the room.
He definitely is. And maybe Larry the hamster's like, well, I always wanted to eat. I don't know why he sounds like I always wanted to eat with you, Brian. I've been such a fan. That means a lot, hamster. Means a lot. Let's get to work. And perhaps what should the mystery guest, potential garbage plate, be doing? Is he and or she? Who I'm just imagining this person still like in a hoodie, maybe hasn't said anything the entire time.
I agree.
These people are dying.
I agree.
But maybe also not that engaged. And this is the moment where Brian and crew are like, hey, like, what do you like? Are you? I don't care who you are and what but you're here and you're part of this. Can you got to get in. You got to help.
I think as Brian and Gullet and the hamster are trying to strategize, like who's going to eat what. Gullet, you can handle the raw chicken wings. That's a big help. Right. And they look over to Mystery Guest, and Mystery Guest is just housing chicken wings.
Okay.
Like Mystery Guest is almost like the quest leader, like the NPC in this group. Like kind of showing them, hey, we need to get through this. I don't want to be the one that dies. Also, Stephanie died because she ate the least last round.
That's a good point. They're all probably quick to eat. All right, that's good. Great call.
Yeah, you don't want to phone it in.
Yep. All right, cool. And then so they're moving through it quick, and maybe they like clear it all, and they're like, we did it. All right, great round. And then the speaker clicks on. Don't celebrate so fast. I think one of you has forgotten what one of the ingredients in buffalo wings can be. And maybe that quick panic, they look around, they start sweating. They're already sweating. They just ate a bunch of wings, and they're in a room with a dead person in a house. They don't know.
Locked in a buffet of doom.
buffet of doom with no circulation. And looking around, and then what do you think? Is Mystery Guest actually a red herring, and he and or she starts to shake a little bit, foaming at the mouth, and then just falls down dead on the table next to Stephanie?
Love it. Yes, Mystery Guest had a very popular allergy to cayenne.
Got it.
And
that's the one.
And I guess Victor knew about it.
Yes.
And he made sure that they put cayenne in some of the buffalo wings.
Ooh,
and
Victor.
That's what you get to watch Mystery Guest kind of gurgle up and sort of melt into itself.
Right.
Since we haven't gendered them.
Right.
I'm thinking of like the way that the judge dies in Roger Rabbit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, God, gross. Good one. That's great.
Does that scene haunt you, Harrison? You jumped over that really quick.
Maybe it does. Yeah. Great scene. Great movie. And
the ooze.
The ooze, or what do they call it? The slime, the sludge, the toxic. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I wish I could remember. But I'm gonna leave it alone for now.
You'll pop it right next to our heads in YouTube later.
Can you guess what this is?
Oh my God, it's dead!
Or not, it's fine. No pressure, John.
Thanks.
So
thanks, 'cause I'm gonna go look at it later tonight, and I'm gonna forget it again for 40 years.
That's okay. And I think, and maybe even Victor, now he's playing mind games. He comes back on the intercom. Even when you win, you lose. So like they momentarily celebrated clearing the table, but it still killed one of them. So now there's another element. He's maybe putting shit in the food that could kill him. Is this even a thing anybody can win? But once again, before they even kind of have time to process and wipe the sweat off their brow and say a prayer for Mystery Guest number 5, the door is open. The guards obviously getting away, so none of the competitive users can escape. More troughs of food, or plates maybe this time. And what should be round 3?
A rarity in the competitive eating world, usually saved for like regional finals. This round is going to be sushi.
Ooh,
rolls, sashimi.
There was a sushi buffet near me in college we went to, but that's a risk. I mean, again, I didn't know
roll
it.
The dice going in there.
But we used to go. It was tricky. It was like Fridays for like 2 hours, and it was about an hour away, but we made it a couple times, and I still remember how uncomfortable I was afterwards. Rice is no joke. You eat as much as you want. You drink a Coca-Cola, and you feel like someone's blowing up a blimp inside you.
Yes, we mix Alka-Seltzer in our rice. Have another Coke.
Oh, my gosh.
No one can eat more than one roll.
Right. Don't do it. It's dangerous. Anyway, so, okay, I can relate to this. Some mountain of sushi comes out. with heaps of wasabi and ginger, and it looks amazing. And once again, Victor's playing all these mind games. It looks like a beautiful spread, the most expensive sushi in the world. He's really playing into kind of like the gluttony and the decadence that these folks take for granted. He wants it to destroy them. And so they dive into the sushi round as well, and they're eating. But what do you think? What should be the curveball here? Should the wasabi be like ridiculously strong? What can we do here?
Wasabi is a beautiful thing once you learn to understand it and respect it. Agreed. And then you'll find one where you're like, oh my God, I wasn't ready.
Yes.
Like I need more. And you'll dream about it at night, and your wife will look over at you thinking, what is that scumbag?
Who is wasabi?
Who is he thinking about? And you're just like craving for that burn in the top of your head.
Oh.
Wasabi's great, and that's a good. So in this case, there's of course wasabi and ginger. There's an overzealous portion of wasabi, which of course needs to be, and it's hard to eat plain wasabi, but also from the ceiling dispenses gasified wasabi. It's like a tear gas in there, which I think that would actually work if you just throw wasabi in your frying pan and turn it on high.
Right.
Someone's gonna get really pissed.
Put it in a humidifier and you could take out an entire house.
So that's basically what Victor's doing to them.
I like that.
And as the gas comes out, he issues the special consequence for this round is that you must not throw up. This would be automatic failure.
Right, exactly. And so now they're like blinded by this gas, but they have to keep eating. So they're like crying while enjoying this bluefin tuna, and they just can barely see. And again, also can't throw up. They've got a ton of food in their stomach at this point. So that's the challenge, the extra challenge of this round.
It probably cricks Brian because he had that incident with the shrimp cocktail where horseradish is a key ingredient, and horseradish and wasabi are pretty similar with the burn. So like Brian might be feeling it a little bit. This is a good opportunity for Larry the hamster to step up and kind of become the cheerleader for as he's like trying to say like, come on guys, we can get through this. Like I can't breathe or I cough.
Exactly right. I can't inhale. Yeah, if he's putting wasabi in his cheeks and firing that down, it'll be the last thing he does. But maybe he's smart enough to mix it in with the rolls and the sashimi and everything else. And maybe in that, I like this, that Brian's having some freakouts. He's powering through because he's a professional. So he's making it happen. But perhaps as he's kind of squinting his eyes from the wasabi gas, he gets a flash, a vision of something. We can't quite tell what it is. A person's face maybe glowing a bit, almost like a ghost.
He's having the meat sweats.
He's having the meat sweats and the wasabi sweats and the I just saw two people die sweats and I'm trapped in a house sweats. But a vision appears, and maybe just a voice of a calming voice that just says, remember to breathe. And that's it. And Brian's like, did I hear that? You hamster, did you say something to me?
Like, he's got wasabi fever.
Right. He's sweating green at this point. But Brian finds some strength in this mystery message, takes a not too deep breath because of the wasabi air, but enough to get him to keep going. And
a big deep breath filtered through a mouthful of rice.
Use the rice. Use the rice.
Pack the rice in. Larry's got the idea.
And then breathe. It's a filter. Rice is a natural filter. Hamster, you're a genius. Oh? Everyone, fill your cheeks first. We can fight it.
And I think even Victor loves this. Like the consequence for this round was you can't throw up. No one throws up. Exactly. They get through the sushi. Pretty easy to eat a lot of sushi.
Yeah.
And he even comes on, I think, and he says, this was very successful, as I would imagine from you remaining professionals. Mm-hmm. On to round 4. And
exactly. No time to celebrate.
Exactly. Like, thank God. No
crap.
Doors open. And in this round, there's a guard comes up to each of the competitors. We have remaining Bottomless Brian, the Gullet,
Hamster,
and Larry the hamster, the only living competitors left.
That's true.
And so a guard comes up behind each of them with a syringe. And you think like, what the? And as the guard plunges it into their thigh, Victor says, and I am also giving you 50 units of insulin.
Oh, okay.
For this course, you must eat to continue living.
Wow. Man, this Victor guy is a son of a gun. Okay, I
And
love
for this
it.
course, I think it's prepared tableside.
Indeed.
Yes, this is Beer Me That Movie. So we see the kitchen staff come out, prepared in their whites, totally pristine and clean. And they're holding the trays, which have maybe accoutrements, like there's some cheese and like some little figs and stuff.
Got it.
Because they're gonna need some sugar.
Got it.
Since they've just been insulin dosed.
Oh, good Lord.
And then the two chefs pick up Speedy Gonzalez and start to disassemble her. And then there's a little hibachi that comes out, and they're roasting up Speedy, and they're throwing her on the table. Then they're working on the mystery guest and doing the same thing. And you see the scale on the table just going higher and higher as the guards are holding everyone down.
And this is right, and they're like they're about to throw up, and Victor jumps on the speaker again, and it's like,
you throw up, you lose.
so they can't even like barf all over the place. They're watching these people be disemboweled in front of them, so they're kind of closing their eyes, which isn't that hard because they're so full of wasabi tears. But this is classic Victor and a classic round 4. Just as you thought maybe it would get easier, it gets disgusting and ridiculous.
Yeah, we're at a point where we've learned these boys, it's all boys love, these boys can eat. So now the contest almost gets a little, like I think of the scene in Goodfellas where Joe Pesci's razzing Henry before, and he's like, what do you go for? You go for the hearts and lungs, right? Like
right.
But only really worse, because now you actually have to eat the hearts and the lungs and the legs and the hand.
And they do that. And so like these chefs prepare it, right? They've got some heating elements and devices, and they're just creating basically Euro meat out of people. But they got it. That place smells horrible.
It's like Michelin chefing happening.
That's
in this
what I was
room.
getting
They're
at,
like,
exactly.
They're like basting with clarified butter and seasoning with Maldon salt, and like everything looks great till you zoom out and you see like, oh, that's a person's tricep.
Oh my God. Yes.
Larry's kind of getting hungry at the smell. Like, I mean, if you think about it, they're really just meat,
We're all
right?
just meat, right? Good Lord, Larry.
I haven't done this yet.
Nobody leave me alone with Larry. A hamster. Oh my gosh. So this is obviously disgusting, and they've got to like power through, or else
And now
they're
if
gonna
they
die.
don't eat, the insulin's going to take them out.
Exactly right. So they're like fading to black, and things are getting dark, and they really have maybe they start with the cheese to not eat the people, but they've got to get through this somehow.
We just warm up with this date.
Oh my God. And so but this is obviously the toughest thing they've ever had to do. Do they try to cheat, try to avoid it? Does something happen? I imagine even with the insulin almost killing them, it's still people. This has been a crazy day. Let's have a curveball happen here. Some kind of twist where someone tries to get out of it, and there's a consequence which forces all of them to just have to deal with it. And we'll show we have to be careful with how this is made. We'll just be very artful about what we're actually showing.
Yeah, it's never getting released.
Yeah, no way.
So I think Larry's starting to want to win this. He can beat his idol, Bottomless Brian. He can beat the upstart who's taken the tournament by storm, and he can be the best eater left in the world after this if he survives with $1 million.
Yeah.
So he knows he's got to eat the most, and he knows they have to get through this round. So Larry initially is like packing all the dates and figs into his mouth to get the sugar he needs not to die.
Smart.
And then he's found a way, like he's been eyeing the cameras, and he's found a way where he starts like taking a bigger hunk of meat and he packs it in his mouth because that's his eating strategy.
Yep.
And then he just coughs down into his shirt. And for the first time ever, Larry lets it go out, and he's like filling his shirt up with pieces of his former competitors. But you see the scale start tipping down too.
Exactly.
Like, we need to get through this. There's only a couple minutes left on the timer.
Right.
There's still most of Stephanie to eat. She was really lean and bony. And so as Larry's doing this, he reaches to grab for another big old piece of Stephanie or mystery guest. And as soon as he reaches down in the table, a giant blade comes down and severs his hand, like right at the wrist. And Victor, and you hear like, No cheating. Immediately the chefs show up and they start roasting his hand.
Right, it's on the table. It has to be eaten now. So Larry falls back, grabbing his bleeding arm. Everyone starts freaking out even more.
Holds it up and the chefs sear it off with a cast iron pin.
Immediately, right as he's screaming, but cauterizes it. Ooh, that's good. And so, yeah, things are very dark and very dire. And this is the low point, obviously, of the movie. And everyone's crying, trying not to puke. Larry lost a hand.
Human centipede. Yeah,
it's very human centipede right now. And I hope we haven't lost everybody at home. Maybe we'll put a warning in the beginning of this episode. We probably should.
Involves long pigs.
Yeah, exactly right. Don't listen to this while you're eating, or if you have a weak stomach. I can't believe I'm in it. Okay. So let's end this round somehow, and whether it's because Larry got his hand chopped, like, and Victor is like, that's the price he got something out of this. We'll just keep eating this the next round, or whatever. I'll add it to my final. Add it to the final. Take a break. I don't want you to be all. I want you all to see what I have cooked up next. So maybe it gives them a bit of an out.
Well, I think too. These guys have been through a war together.
Yes, they have.
And just 4 courses. So the ones that are left have probably gotten enough like familiarity where the enemy is this room and Victor, and the only way out is maybe to keep going, although he's poisoned the mystery guest. So like we need to find a way to get out.
Not playing fair. Right, and now perhaps, I mean, they're certainly not. Well, the insulin messed them up, but they figured that out. They ate enough dates or whatever to stabilize their blood sugar, so they're not hungry. And the Snickers commercial is any indication. As long as you have some food in your system, you can solve some problems. So they've got plenty of food inside them, so they can to kind of devise a plan in this finally this little respite that Victor's given them. Before whatever the heck is coming next. And I think Bottomless Brian, jumps right up. Is now Larry, who was trying to be the alpha, is handless and kind of in and out of consciousness on the floor.
Ate most of his own hand.
Right, exactly. In a hunger blackout. Didn't know what he was doing. Just instinctively chewing and cheeking. No, Larry, no. Oh, no,
that's
God,
your hand.
That's your hand, Larry.
I mean, I don't want to eat it.
Right. But so I'm glad. Anyway, so they have to have some kind of plan, but they're obviously very limited. So what are they gonna cook up here, John? Like, what do they have at their disposal?
I'll tell you.
Oh boy,
what they got at their disposal. One thing.
Oh boy, here we go.
Weaponized vomit.
Finally.
So they've been told again and again that they can't throw up, or that counts against them, or there'll be consequences.
Come back to get Victor right now. I think they're
and
fully loaded.
I think maybe the last time Victor says it through the loudspeaker, it clicks in Bottomless Brian's head, and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna try and get us out of here, and if you're all with me, I got an idea. With your help, especially, Hamster."
Yes.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna pack all the remaining food into our mouths and our keep it in your upper stomach.
Okay,
you know how we do,
Yeah,
and that's a thing that the competitive eaters do, of course.
Right.
Just enough to get some bile in there,
Oh.
and so they basically load themselves up like a potato cannon, waiting for the next round. The next round, they're gonna open the doors, and the guards are gonna be watching the chefs. That's when we're gonna use our preloaded vomit cannons to get the hell out of here.
Amazing.
And this inspired, Gullet grabs Speedy Gonzalez's whole ankle and packs it in. He's like, I'm ready to go.
This is it. Speedy would want it this way. To freedom, Speedy. Oh, good Lord. All right, I like this. So the plan is to vomit their way out of this problem, which, again, we've all done that before. Plenty of parties I've left just by throwing up all over people and then scooting out the back.
I really got to go, guys.
I tried to tell you. You can say that. You've been sleeping on the couch for 45 minutes.
Also, vomiting's more catchy than COVID was. Like,
yeah.
maybe they're just worried that
You're
if people
right.
start vomiting, everyone will start vomiting, and that'll give them a sneak to get out.
And the world will vomit. Yeah, everyone it's the dominoes of vomit. Right, but give them enough time to get out. Guards are vomiting. Victor's vomiting. You're right. It is kind of contagious.
Cool.
It's a good a plan as they can surmise.
I'm talking about it a lot, but I'm trying not to imagine what it sounds
no.
like a lot.
Thanks for that. Thanks for reminding me the vomit how to sound, John.
Yeah.
So
And a warmth and a smell.
Woo!
It's a terrible weapon.
It is, but it's one that we all were born with. So why not use it now? And yeah, so this is kind of coming towards probably the end of Act 2, and this could be kind of like a big moment where I see the plan. They're waiting in the room, and now kind of the guards come back with Victor for what I guess is probably gonna be the final round, and they like kind of launch into this plan. Like what happens?
You know, it's the young kid. It's Gunner, the gullet, who's been feverishly packing himself full.
Yeah.
And as soon as the door opens, the guards are there protecting Victor. Gunner jumps up and starts making a beeline to go put this ankle bone right into Victor's face.
Right.
I'm gonna be the first one out of here. Beelines towards Victor. It can't work this simply. We're only at the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
So it's Victor. He's ahead of this. And as soon as Gunner gets up and starts running, giant 50, 75 pound Pepperidge Farm birthday cake falls from the ceiling on a steel platter, because Pepperidge Farm birthday cakes weigh nothing.
Yes.
But it's on a steel platter, and you
steel.
just see Gunner running, and then there's a birthday cake there.
Oh. And the ankle flies out from under it and rolls to the side.
And Brian is so defeated, you just see him like swallow the food he was going to use as a vomit weapon.
Right.
And he's like, oh
my God.
we're not getting out that way.
Right. Hamster's kind of still going in and out of consciousness. Probably wouldn't have been that helpful in this round anyway.
Forgot the plan.
Exactly right. So this plan is squashed. And once again, they're kind of left at the will and the whim of Victor, who just smiles and now is in the room. I want to be here to enjoy what you're about to do. I want to see it with my own eyes. You think you can stop me? I've thought of everything. I've been waiting 50 years for this night. Now he sounds like the doctor from Halloween. Death has come to your small town. But indeed it's come to this room, and Victor's there delivering it. So that's gonna, I think, button up Act 2 and take us. What the heck is Brian gonna do and Larry gonna do to get out of here?
Maybe we're just gonna watch people
maybe
die.
They're just gonna keep eating each other.
That's what competitive eating is. We'll see you in Act 3.
Let's see where this is all going. We begin the third act.
So we begin Act 3, like any good disciple, with the Last Supper, the final course. Only Brian and Larry remain, and Victor walks through the door, steps aside the birthday cake, and unveils this golden ham.
Ooh.
It's gigantic. It's hard to understand how Victor himself is holding it up. It's the size of a whiskey barrel. This is your final test. The competitor who is able to eat and devour this entire golden ham will be the winner. And the combat ensues, right? Like, because now it's kind of like Brian versus Larry a little bit.
Right.
So they're trying to get, like, Brian's like throwing baguettes at Larry to try and get into the ham. It's like gold plated though, so he's having a hard time of it. Larry's like trying to peel off pieces to put in his cheeks, and Brian starts fading, right? Like maybe it's the insulin, maybe it's all the adrenaline, and he's the oldest one in here.
Yep.
But I think if there's a time for anyone to be a hero, it's this time with a golden ham.
Exactly right. And Brian's like seeing his life up before his eyes. It's right. He was united with Larry. Now they're against each other, and the walls are closing around him, and he starts to kind of black out and gray out, and the vision tunnels a bit, and he enters into darkness. But what really happens, John,
If we follow him into the darkness.
Stay with me here. Right. Is he has like a wild out of body kind of experience, and it's complete darkness. Then all of a sudden the ghosts, for whatever reason, why they're ghosts, not important, but like an apparition of Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi show up there looking awesome. And they're smiling. Brian, welcome. What are you doing here? Maybe they're kind of doing those things you hear in out-of-body experiences, like, it's not your time. We're happy to see you, but this isn't right. Chew. Right, exactly. Right. Remember your training. Remember.
It's gold.
Remember. Right. So they're there kind of trying to maybe encourage him, comfort him. It's a near-death, out-of-body experience thing. It's kind of mystical and magical and doesn't quite make sense, but you're getting the vibe of like, these guys are here to support me. Awesome. And then I think to maybe clarify everything, a third figure materializes in this dream. This celestial food void that he's found himself in. And it's Buddha himself, John.
Of course.
And
not the legend of the noble stomach.
Exactly right. And Brian is like, my gosh, is it? And Buddha's like, of course it's me. Look at me. But he's like, okay, oh, yes, I got it. Of course, you're the Buddha. But
what does Buddha look like? Does he look like an IRS agent?
I don't know. You're right. Just kind of a fuzzy. I don't know what he looks like. But we can tell this essence is Buddha. Maybe he'll be like a famous
Grimace
actor. He could be like, he could look like Grimace. He could look like
Grimace, but more blue.
Yes, I take many forms. Today I look like Grimace because your mind wanted me to. All right. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I did love Grimace as a kid, and seems like a happy place. But so. Yeah, so Buddha's here as Grimace, and maybe Brian was even like, but why aren't you here with Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut, all these famous competitive eaters? And Buddha Grimace smiles and is like, never forget, I was the first competitive eater. Maybe Brian's suddenly puzzled, like, really? And then Buddha leans in and goes, I was competing to see who could eat the least. And
nice.
And Brian's like, oh, the wisdom, blows his hair back, and oh, I get it.
Brian's played by Keanu Reeves now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Grimace / Buddha is like, but there's no time for that. I don't have many lessons to teach. You know why you're here. And then Brian, wait, the noble stomach, it's real? And then Grimace Buddha just kind of nods and takes a step back. It only reveals itself to those who truly need it. And then Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi bow or whatever.
Of course.
And they fade into the darkness, which now opens up into the light. And we see Brian kind of just slumped on the floor. Maybe everyone's kind of assuming he died. And are about to crown kind of Larry the winner.
Larry's who has chewing through gold to get to the hand.
Right, exactly. And Victor's kind of just letting it happen. All that stuff. And he kind of comes back, but Brian comes to now, and that changes things a little bit, because now there's two competitors again, and Victor is like, all right, I thought I took you out. But I guess I was wrong. More fight than we thought. That you are bottomless Brian after all, yes. Aren't you? This is the bottomless we all remember. Rise, and take the ham. And Brian, it just kind of maybe like, again, still in a daze, stands up and summons the noble stomach, which, as we revealed in the kind of story at the beginning,
lucky for all of you, Harrison, the co-host of this podcast, is the leading expert on the Buddhist way of the noble stomach in the world.
In the whole world. And no one is even a close second. And so I pride myself in this. And so yeah, what happens is Brian is able to summon the power of the noble stomach. And what that looks like is basically he becomes a giant Hoover vacuum. Like, he has the power to suck in all the food into his mouth, and then transport it through magic into the noble stomach. So that's what he does. That's his kind of superpower, and he's now enlightened. It becomes clear. Instead of him throwing up all over, it's the reverse. He's gonna not even eat his way out of here. He's just gonna noble stomach his way out of here, suck all this food away. But it's like they're in a wind tunnel now, so there's like stuff flying off the walls, and maybe he swallows 2 of the guards flying.
Well, now that humans have been introduced to him as food,
exactly,
they qualify for the noble stomach.
There we go. And so, of course, this knocks Victor down as well, who maybe runs to the door, but then falls and is clawing into the carpet as he's getting sucked towards Brian to be devoured in this weird vortex void thing that Brian has created. And this looks like, all right, we're gonna win. We got it.
Victor's gonna get eaten.
A perfect end to Victor to be eaten himself. But Victor's a bad guy. We're gonna let him get one more punch in. And maybe it's just as simple as like there's a single cocktail shrimp left on the table, and as Victor gets closer to it, as he's being sucked towards Brian, he like just kind of flicks it at Brian's face, hits him right in the eye or the nose, or he inhales the cocktail shrimp.
Yes.
And that's enough for him to be like, and lose his focus and the connection with the noble stomach, and he kind of collapses to the ground again, exhausted from summoning this ancient power to try to save his life.
Victor resumes the top of the food pyramid.
Right. He feels
the
unstoppable.
noble stomach may be real, but it will not save you today. Nothing can save a glutton.
Yes. And again, Brian's kind of collapsed, but he stands up like Rocky, kind of put a fist into the ground and rises and maybe lets out a little smile. And Victor's puzzled, of course. And Brian says something like, "You forget the ending of the story of the noble stomach."
Maybe because only Harrison knows it.
and this story, only Brian. And Victor's like, "What? The power isn't in the eating. It's in the sharing." And Victor's smile like fades from his face as he realizes like that is the end. What does that mean? And as he's trying to work it out, Brian's just standing there smiling, and you hear like a gurgle in Victor's coming from Victor's stomach, and then more gurgles, and he maybe lets Victor a little burp out and starts grabbing his stomach, doing indigestion faces at Brian. Maybe even grabs some Pepto-Bismol. What is this doing to me? I must stop it. And Brian just wags his finger. It's like Matumbo. Nope, that's not gonna do it for you, Victor. And what he's doing, of course, is transporting all that stuff through the mobile stomach into Victor's stomach, and Brian again thinks he's won. Victor, I see him kind of like dashing maybe towards the door, just hunched over, like I must throw up. And in this moment, I think the hamster redeems himself a bit, stands up with his one good hand, and like kind of grabs Victor with Brian, and they pin him down before he can start throwing up all this
over
food.
his mouth.
Exactly, and I think Brian's just like, no, not today. Maybe even as a joke, kind of does like the "here comes the airplane," like feeding the child.
They both start going,
right. Victor's like, no, but they cover his mouth, so he's just, and then you just see, of course, Victor's cheeks filled with food, stuffed cheeks with the food as it flies out of his stomach into his mouth. That can't escape.
Oh, he goes out like
there.
Mama Cass.
That's right. Exactly right. It's like putting an M80 in a garbage bag. He just explodes in his face and his guts and everything, and it can be as gross or over the top or whatever we want it to be. But that's it. And maybe it's a joke, right? Grimace Buddha's ghost can jump in and be like, "He's about to blow." Look out. So Brian can at least cover his eyes for a moment.
It's a human food bomb.
Exactly. And boom, that's it. We've killed Victor. We've stuffed his cheeks to the point of explosion. And Brian and Larry, what's left of him, survive.
Larry leftovers, Brian, make it out of the house.
Yes.
I think that's a good fade to black. Maybe there's like a credits scene.
Absolutely.
Like, the credits are rolling. You see Brian kind of back in action, only now not as a competitive eater, but he's giving a TED talk. And as we hear Brian mumbling, we squeeze, the camera zooms out, and you see his TED talk is called Gluttony, the True Sport of Kings.
Right, a power for good or evil, or some TED talky thing, and that's great. And he probably, let's do this. This will be fun. He steps off stage and is gathering himself, and he looks good. He looks like he's in shape. He's got, I don't know, looks good. Brian looks like he's doing all right. And how about this, John? A familiar voice, peeks in from maybe the side of the stage.
Hope it's the sexy nun.
You'd think so. And she's probably in the audience. Remember, she's always there, guys. Sexy Nun, even don't mention her, is in every movie somewhere in the background. But today, I think we should get a visit from someone almost as powerful as our interdimensional Sexy Nun, introduced by his classic, hee-hee.
Oh, no.
And the one and only Big Nose, baby, is standing in the side of the stage and kind of slowly approaches Brian, who's shocked by this tiny kind of man boy who looks like he might have been a puppet once. And maybe as the audience, you're like, oh my God, Big Nose is going to kill Brian? Nope. Big Nose has bigger plans.
Is Brian a pedophile?
Right, exactly. Brian's in the clear, but what's kind of happened here, where Big Nose is pieced together, I think, is that the noble stomach basically has the power to teleport. And so I think Big Nose has his own plans of, I've heard what you did. I've got a list I want you to see and a plan I want to talk to you about. And then Big Nose just hands over the Epstein client list. And Brian's like, this will be a lot of work. And Big Nose is like, I think we could do it. Why don't you grab a snack?
Yes. Stuffed cheeks too.
That's right. Pedophile boogaloo. And so, Big Nose and Brian get to team up and teleport Big Nose around to murder a bunch of bad people. And that'll be maybe a future Pyramid that movie. You never know. I'd love to get Big Nose back in here. Oh my gosh.
I know you would. He frightens me.
He frightens everybody.
Woo. So we were gonna do Juice on a Plane, but I think we had a good and definitely over the top horror.
Oh yeah.
Time with stuffed cheeks.
We'll break it down next episode. We don't want to. We'll give us a few minutes for you a week before we jump in here. But that was a blasty blast. We'll dive deep next time, and make sure you tune in next week, because again, you're gonna be voting again. It's all up to you guys. And this week was wild that it flipped on the last day to Stuffed Cheeks. I'm happy it did. I'll Juice Above the Clouds. That'll be in the vault, which still exists, so it may return one day. But happy we got Stuffed Cheeks in. This was a blast. Hopefully we didn't lose you in the middle there when people started eating people. It happens sometimes.
It's fiction, mostly.
Mostly, sure. A person would never do that. Yeah, so we're going to go get ready to do the next Fast Five, but you guys go get some food, or maybe not.
Yeah, enjoy food alternatives for the next half hour.
Ooh, some gum.
Until then, peace.
Punch?
Don't give me your lunch.
I'll pass. Give me some breakfast, some rolls, some egg rolls.